Welcome to the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show, where we bring strategies and knowledge that will help you succeed in Idaho's ever-changing real estate market. I'm Jonna Weber. I'm an Idaho investor, realtor, and entrepreneur. I've been successfully investing for over 2 decades and helping countless others do the same. We'll bring you real stories from successful investors, expert advice, and insights to help you build generational wealth through the power of real estate. Whether you're just getting started or well on your way, let's jump in. Hey friends, thanks for joining me today on a solo episode. I just want to have a coffee conversation with you today, and it is a time of year. With the time that this episode comes out, it is just rounding the bend to the start of 2025, which is so exciting. Everything in this episode, though, applies to whenever you're listening to this in the future, because we're really going to get down to a topic that I feel passionate about, making sure we get the message out there and spreading the word to folks, maybe like yourselves that are listening out there, that are newer to the investing world. And I'm going to share from the heart something that's on my mind and go into several key steps that I want to encourage you to take a little bit of time and contemplate and think through and meditate on as you go into the start of the thought of really jumping into real estate investing. I have been investing for 21 years and have seen so many different market cycles and so many different fads of the coolest new way to invest and just the get-rich-quick kind of mentality come and go and come and go and come and go, and people feel like they've got a brand new way to spin things, and then people on this idea, and there are a lot of really solid, great educational tools out there. But what I want to address specifically is some things to take time and to really consider for yourself before you jump into purchasing anything, even if it's a membership with the Boise Real Estate Investor Network. I don't want you to spend a dime until you take a little bit of time and contemplate for yourself these I think I've got 7, actually 8 critical questions to ask of yourself that will help you formulate what your next steps need to be. Because here's what I see. I have been I've been investing for 21 years, been hosting real estate investor meetups for over a decade, and I have been helping investors as a realtor for over a decade. And I cannot tell you how many times people have come to us for help and for specific advice on what kind of investing they should be doing after they have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on a course or a mentor or a module or online training or whatsoever. I will tell you there is a place for that, and I value education. But what we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to take a step back and we need to evaluate exactly what the right path is for you before that, so that you can be strategic and use your money and your even more importantly, your time wisely, because time is the greatest resource we have and it's precious. And so let's take a step back, reverse engineer exactly what kind of investing or even if investing is right for you. Are you with me? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to dive in and we're just going to have this exercise. And so what I would really appreciate you doing, if you can take the time to listen to this episode thoroughly. If you listen to it in the car, on a walk, that's awesome. Maybe you're driving up the ski hill. That's great. Go ahead and listen through it. But I really encourage you, if you're contemplating this for yourself, to take another time through. Get a pad of paper and really think through these questions and go through this exercise for yourself so that you can help get clarity for what your next steps need to be. So I guess the topic of this podcast is stop. Do not invest money until you've gone through these questions, okay? So the first question that I want you to just stop and contemplate and ask yourself is, why am I interested in investing? There are a lot of people that are kind of pushed into being interested in investing or they feel like they've got a case of the shoulds. They should be investing, and so therefore they're grudgingly going to learn about it. That's fine. It's a start. But if you're truly interested, like spend some time thinking why. What's your why? Why are you interested? Are you interested because you thought it looked cool on HGTV to flip a house? Are you interested in expanding your wealth and building that long-term wealth? Are you interested because you're bored at your job? Are you interested because you need to figure out a game plan to develop a college fund for your kids? There's so many different personalized whys, and there's not a right or wrong answer, but really take the time to think about that. And also ask yourself, are you interested? Because I will tell you, I'm a huge believer in real estate, and I'm a huge believer in funneling cash and resources into real estate as a hard asset. But not everybody has to be all in on real estate investing, and that's okay. I give you permission not to be. In fact, some of the people I admire most in this world are extremely successful in the business world, and they have their net worth and they've got their cash flow pretty darn well set in business. And then maybe after they've that successful business, they take some of that revenue and they put it into hard assets such as real estate. That might be the case for you. We have a lot of folks like that in the Boise Real Estate Investor Network. It's really cool. And I think that is the best way you generate the cash flow first. And if you have that cash flow, funnel it into hard assets such as rentals or triple net leases with commercial. There's a number of different funds and notes and syndications, and we can talk about all of those different niches and strategies. But having an accessible business is amazing. So don't forsake something that you have a great thing in and that's working for you just to drop it all and to jump into real estate. That's one thing I would say, because I think that's a messaging that's not out there enough, that people are just like, oh, we got to go full bore into real estate. But meanwhile, they've got this great gig going that they enjoy, and then they drop it to go do real estate because they think that that's the way that it needs to be. But I believe there's a path for everybody, and success can look very different for different people. So really think about why you're interested in investing, and think hard about it, and think about who your why is, what your why is. For my husband and I, our why was really having diversified income, having security at retirement, and having resources to pay college, which we've been able to do, and then also having that additional source of income and cash flow, because our first real push into real estate investing came at a time when we had insecurity in a corporate job environment, and we went, holy crap, we got to do something that's going to make sure that we are taken care of in the long run, and not just rely on what's called W-2 income or employment income. So evaluate that. The second question that I think is really important is really getting real with yourself on, do I have money to invest, or do I need to start making money to start investing? Because those are two different things too. I just alluded to the business owner that is able to generate cash and funnel that into hard assets. If you have that, obviously that is probably the best position to be in. The other thing is, if you have income, you have ability to leverage and to get loans. So I've just seen too many stories of people that quit that other income source too early to go all in on real estate, and then realized they kind of killed the goose that laid the golden egg, or something like that. I'm bad with analogies, y'all. But what I mean is that you're going to kill your source of your cash flow to go do something and start from scratch. But you've got this great source already. So maybe if you really, really love real estate and you want to keep this business going or this employment going, there's different ways you can leverage that. Maybe take a little bit less or step back just a little bit to focus some time on real estate investing. But don't just burn the boat immediately, with rare exceptions. I would encourage you to, if you have money to invest and have a way to keep making money to invest, that's the best scenario, especially at the beginning. And if you don't have money, or if you need to make money immediately, both to live on and to start investing, there is a number of different strategies that you can focus on that get you into that. An example would be like what's called bird dogging, driving for dollars, wholesaling, finding properties, and providing them to that end buyer. That is a great way to make some quick cash. We've got people in our network that are very, very versed in that and can guide you along that process. And if you find that that's your need that you have right away, then that helps give clarity on what you're going to invest in as far as your education and where you're going to put your time and resources into learning. Another cool thing about real estate is there's so many different ways to make money in real estate as you learn. So we like to say, earn while you learn. So one example of that is if you are a realtor, you are in such a great position to start investing and to earn while you learn. If you are not a realtor yet and you have ambition and sales experience, you can be a successful realtor. And so that was kind of the path that I took. I was investing first. I got my license. And once I had that license, I was able to make real estate sales. Took a while. It wasn't easy, but I built up my business slowly. I earned commissions, and I utilized those commissions towards income to be able to start investing in more rental properties. So it's a chicken and the egg thing, but earn while you learn. And there's a number of different ways that you can get experience in the industry and earning income. And maybe it's you're being an assistant or you're helping. You can find very experienced investors or property management companies and certainly realtors and work to get some sort of role where you are actively learning while you're building out your portfolio or your system for investing in real estate. I could and will do a whole episode on why realtors need to be doing this, but in general, definitely if you need to make money to start investing, I would encourage you to find something within the real estate industry so you can earn while you learn. Number 3 question that I would say that you want to sit down and evaluate is, do I need to use investing profits now, or is it for the future? For my husband and I, as when I look back and we started investing, it was really that we wanted it for the future. We worked hard to live pretty frugally when we were first investing in real estate, and I remember that feeling like friends of ours were going and buying gorgeous new Cadillac Escalades and cars and upgrading to the bigger home and maybe putting kids in private school. And you know what? We were living in this house that we had bought intending to be a rental we were going to live in it 1 year and then make it a rental. Well, guess what? We saw the bottom of the real estate market drop out during the recession, and our property after we had bought it was worth half as much as we paid for it at one time. So we were kind of stuck, or we chose to be stuck at that time. But you know what? We grinded it out, and we lived in that home for 9 years, which was a perfectly nice subdivision home. It was great, served our family's needs, but we certainly didn't intend to live there for 9 years. It was what I would call an entry-level home. And we watched our friends, and we'd go to our friend's house with the beautiful houses, which was awesome. But we spent our extra money on rental properties at the time. So we sacrificed because we knew we wanted to use it for the future. And so I tell you what, though, 20 years later, we're happy we made those decisions. And it was all about an earlier retirement, and it was also about having that solidified cash flow and not relying on Social Security or some kind of inheritance, which we wouldn't have had, anything like that, for our lifestyle as we got a little bit older and our kids left the house. So if you can do that, oh my gosh, I so advise it. Don't spend all your money now if you're making good money. If you need to use your investing profits now, then you're going to want to really look closely at either maybe finding other markets where you have more cash flow on properties, or doing something more active, such as fix and flipping, such as wholesaling, such as something where you can get an active return on your investment right now to start living on it. Maybe you have cash sitting there that you just want a more immediate return. There are so many options for that. And I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one about different ideas based on your situation. But That third question was, do I need to use the investing profits now, or can they sit and grow and wait for the future? Okay. Number 4, the question is, what's my risk tolerance? And as a realtor, I have seen this on every end of the spectrum. There are the people that I used to lose sleep over because they were 25 years old and they're like, sure, I'll figure out a way to buy the $2 million complex or apartment complex or way overextend to get into my dream house. And it wasn't maybe the decision that I would have made, but they had an extremely high risk tolerance. And as long as they understood the risks and had all that spelled out for them and knew possible repercussions, they were good with it. So I had to learn to be good with it too. I can project my opinion, but some people have a very, very high risk tolerance and some are scared out of their mind. And if they're scared out of their mind, if you're that person, or if you're sharing this with some person, here's something to give you hope. I was scared out of my mind. I was very against real estate investing. My husband kept pushing me, and he would drive me by houses all the time and even like land to develop, which looking back, I so wish we would have taken that action, but I was scared. So we went to the title company to purchase our first rental property when I was 8 months pregnant with our second kid, Charlie, and I was not for this transaction. So things have come a long way since then, and I am so grateful that we worked together through that, bought our first rental at that time, and kept the ball moving forward. And so if you're scared, sometimes if the fundamentals are there and it's right to get involved, you just got to work through that fear. But back then, several years later, we were in the recession and we started looking at rental property, and we did thankfully buy during that time. But at the very beginning, when that market was just dropped like a rock, we walked away from some deals that were so ridiculous to walk away from. I can't even tell you. Have you heard of $35,000 condos in Boise? Well, there were some available then. I'll just say that. And there were different things where I personally got scared and walked. And I wish somebody would have pushed me through that process during that time, because we'd be a lot better off financially today for it. So sometimes you just got to work through that risk, that fear of risk. But the more educated you get with what you're doing, what your game plan is, and you're able to run a scenario by others that have been there, done that, the more you can flex that risk muscle and move forward. But get real with yourself, because there are certain types of investing that are more risky than others. And so it's important to educate yourself. Hey friends, if you're busy like me, you're always on the lookout for trusted professionals that can help you with your business, home, and investment needs. Whether it's a trusted lender, real estate professional, or a vendor that might be able to come in and work on your home or your investment property, there's always a need out there. And we want you to have great resources at the ready. So Boise Reen has developed an exclusive vendor directory chock full of businesses that are ready to help our community. Head on over to boisereen.com, grab your free copy today, and don't forget, let them know that Boise Reen sent you. Number 5 is a big one, and that relates to time. How much time do I have to devote to real estate investing? Okay, so one thing that nobody ever gets more of is time. And even when you're doing the most fun, rewarding thing, it takes time, and you have to make decisions what you're going to take away from your family, from your whatever church activities, extended family, anything else that you want to put your energy into. Everything you say yes to, you have to say no to something else. So get real with it. Because here's one thing I've seen. I've seen people, investors or wannabe investors, come to me after they have gone down long hours of education and financial investment in education on certain niches and sectors that probably are not going to set them up for success if they have very limited time. So an example would be a very successful physician that loves their career, that's devoted and invested in their career, and the reality is that they will continue and want to continue to work 40 to 60 hours a week on this career, and it's financially lucrative and it's emotionally rewarding and all of that sort of thing. And they are going all in on learning how to personally flip homes in their spare time. I can tell you, it goes back to that thought of keeping that career or that business that's going to funnel financial assets into something that they can put into real estate. And it doesn't make a lot of financial sense for them to be learning how to flip homes themselves. They might be better off being a private lender that is able to evaluate deals, learn how to evaluate deals, and to learn how to successfully invest in private notes or being a private lender without exposing themselves to the risk and the time involved with them timing the market and getting the contractors and supervising the site and being heavily involved from a boots on the ground standpoint. So there's a lot of different ways based on your lifestyle and what works for you. There's no one size fits all. So I just don't want anyone to think, because I see this happen, I don't want anyone to think they should real estate invest and they hear about a course or a program that's all about this secret formula or to fix and flip from scratch and all that sort of thing when they really have no time or experience in doing so. A lot of times, unfortunately, I've seen it sets them up for disappointment, and then they feel burnt, and then they say, forget it, I'm going back to my career, and I'm not going to think about it. It doesn't have to be that way. I promise you, for anybody in any career, there is a way to invest in real estate assets. And it's really exciting when you've got that opportunity combined with education and knowledge on what would make a smart investment. Meanwhile, if you have tons of time and you don't have a career, that's when we go back to let's think about setting this up as some sort of business related to real estate where you can make money to funnel into those assets. Or maybe become an agent or a real estate agent or someone that's involved in that community, or you can go full bore and educate yourself and go into that fix and flip or whatever niche or strategy that is. You've got the time and you have to treat that as a job and as a business. The number 6 point that I wanted to have you ask yourself is, what do I already have knowledge and experience in? A lot of times people will come to us and they will be very feeling like a newbie and very green in the investing department, but they have really solid experience in something that translates it. Maybe they are a employment recruiter, right? An employment recruiter or in sales. Both of those kind of positions are something where you've got strong negotiation skills and can work through processes to create a win. That is really an important aspect of real estate investing. Maybe you've got experience in title or legal or accounting or something that relates in some way to real estate investing that creates a natural in for you to jump into something kind of related to using those skills. So just because you don't have experience in a specific asset like a single family home, you probably have experience related. Maybe you have just strong business experience. Business people make the best investors because buying a property is like buying a business in a box and creating a business around it. And then you just rinse and repeat and you create more businesses and boxes. And it's kind of fun when you view it that way. So definitely take a hard look at what other types of knowledge and experience you have. Maybe you've been a contractor, a trade, and people with backgrounds of experience in the trades or maybe engineering have excellent resources to translate into being successful in real estate investing. Let's go to number 7. And number 7 is something that's important to talk about is everybody is always trying to time the market. And so the question to just get real with yourself is what kind of real estate market am I in? And at the time of this recording, we're moving into 2025 right now, but you may be listening to this at a very different time. Real estate markets are so cyclical and they change all the time. But here's the thing, the fundamentals are there no matter what. And the game doesn't change. The end of the game is assets and cash flow, right? But the way that we play it may change. So we need to stay really attuned with what's going on in our local real estate market. And I say local because real estate is hyper local. I was just recently at a convention for my brokerage, eXp Realty, and we were talking about all the national trends for real estate. And we heard stats, and we know in 2025, they're projecting like 10% more sales across the country and so forth. But real estate is local. So that's all great on a national level, but learn what's going on in your state. I'm speaking from Idaho. So in Idaho, we talk about what's going on with the monthly stats every single month. We produce our market stats and we track it closely. It's been in a little bit of holding pattern kind of for a little bit with interest rates not going down like we anticipated and so forth. So it's always really interesting, but track what kind of market you're in, because sellers markets are different than buyers markets. And we can get trapped into thinking that there's nothing happening and it's tough for real estate investors right now. The truth is, in Idaho, it is tough. It's tough for making cash flow. If you're out there buying rentals like I was doing during the recession and trying to find something, what's called the 1% rule, which is getting 1% of what you paid for the property in rent every month. So example would be if you spent $500,000 on a property, you'd get $5,000 a month rent. That doesn't happen in Boise, Idaho every day. Or frankly, I haven't seen that in a long, long time in Boise, Idaho. But you have to get real with what strategies are working right now and how you can generate that cash flow. Maybe it's investing in a syndication. Maybe it's investing in notes, something like that that's going to generate that cash flow that you need. And it's also important, so important, when you're evaluating a market, let's say you're choosing a rental property or a home to flip, to really have your ear to the ground and know the paths of progress in your community. Where are the buyers going? Where is it growing? Where's Trader Joe's going in? Where's In-N-Out going in? Where are those specific areas that institutional investors and the big box stores seeing? Because there's a reason. They are anticipating where the people are. So getting with a good realtor and a community that can really speak to those things is really important, because I've seen a lot of people just go solely on price, and it turns out what the property they bought is an hour out of town, which can be fine, perfectly fine. But if you're not buying in a path of progress and you're buying an area that's kind of declining versus gentrifying, you could find yourself with abnormally low returns. Really important to look at that. So get in tune with that. If you're not on realtors, like newsletter lists that have those market stats and so forth, I'd highly encourage you to get on. Hop on several, and then also a lot of our local lenders, especially within Boise Real Estate Investor Network, send out great newsletters with interest rates and what's going on with the buyers versus sellers market. The last kind of the 8 points that I want you to ask yourself is, what are my interests and strengths? If you're not interested in something, there's a good chance you're not going to pursue it. And I have been so guilty of this. Different courses that I purchased or different masterminds I've been a part of, or things that I feel like I should be learning as an investor or a business owner, and my eyes glaze over and I have no interest. I've been there, done that. It's part of why I have a good bookkeeping team at this moment, because if you tell me that I had to like bear down and learn every nuance of QuickBooks, I think I would have a breakdown. I don't want to do that. I want to look at the big picture. I want to see my P&L. I want to know what's going in, what's going out. But if you want me to like balance every single line in my credit card statements and my bank account on a weekly basis, forget about it. I would quit business. So I have to, it's my job as a professional to keep close track on all of that stuff, but I rely on those people that have strengths and interests in those departments that are so good at what they do. I pay them for their value. It takes them 1/10 of the time that it would take me. I get the results I want, and I keep moving forward with my strengths and interests. We hear a lot about like staying in your green zone, your zone of genius, and what comes naturally to you and what you're good at and that only you can do. Lean into that. Do not try and put yourself in a situation where you're frustrated and doing things that are totally against your natural aptitude. That's my soapbox for there. So think about what your interests are, what your strengths are. If you haven't done the Strengths Finder analysis with like the Clifton Strengths Finders, I would encourage you to do it right now. Right now, especially if you're listening to this as the new year starts, because it's really going to help you identify there's 34 core strengths that people have. If you do the full one that has 34 core strengths, from your biggest strength to your biggest weakness, it's going to be helpful, I guarantee you, because then you really learn what your top 5 strengths are and you lean into that. None of my top 5 strengths incorporate a high level of analysis in detail. So I have to work hard at that and hire and partner with people that have that incredible skill set. I can dream about the future. I can think big. I'm a futurist. I'm an activator. I like significance. I'm a maximizer. And my last 5th strength is focus, which is goal setting. And as you can see, none of those are content oriented or in the nitty gritty details. So I rely on other people for that. So what are my interests and strengths? Definitely just get real and think about that. It should be fun. It should be fun in some respect to get into the learning educational process of investing in real estate. And for me, part of that is getting with people that you align with and getting with people that inspire you and that you can connect with and that help equip you with success. That looks different for everybody, but I know as we've created our meetups and then created the Boise Real Estate Investor Network, one of my biggest things about it that my inspiration was and is to get people in the rooms with other like-minded people that can inspire you to go further faster. And whether it's our community or whether you are choosing an educational platform that's more on a national level, that is totally great. But just make sure that it aligns with who you are, that you're inspired, you're learning, and that you're in your core genius of what naturally comes to you. And it fits with, going back to the beginning, it fits with your why you're interested in investing in the first place. Because if you lose track of that and get in the weeds, you're probably going to get discouraged. And so I hope that's been helpful for you just to take a little bit of time. I hope you had a cup of coffee while you were sitting there thinking through this, writing down. If you didn't and you were just listening to this on the run, totally great. I encourage you to listen to it again. Get clear on that. If after evaluating all those things, you want to take the next step, I would encourage you to join a local community, whether it's Boise Real Estate Investor Network here in the state of Idaho, or if you're living in a different area, find a local community that you can trust, align with, get those resources, and then, if necessary, go to those next steps of education. I promise you, you will be so much further ahead. You will be so much deeper in your pockets as far as the money that you haven't spent until you know exactly what you're looking for and what you're doing. And hopefully you will be in this investing game for the long haul because it's so rewarding, but it is a long game and it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. And we want you to do it the right way and have massive success. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show, this solo episode, just you and me having a cup of coffee and chatting about first things first and getting real on these steps that you can take and you should take before going further or spending a bunch of money on real estate education. You guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for taking your time during this wonderful season, and we cannot wait to have a fantastic year ahead. We have so many great guests lined up for the show. I can't wait to continue sharing stories of Idahoans that are some of the most incredible go-givers that I know in the industry, and there's lots to learn, lots to grow from, and I appreciate you subscribing to the show. Giving it a 5-star review would be amazing. Go and grow. Have a great day. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining me here at the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show. I hope you're leaving with new insights and inspiration to help you truly grow wealth through real estate. If you enjoyed the show, do me a favor. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with those that can benefit from it. Go and grow, and I'll catch you on the next episode.